gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your favorite boy, your man, Highlight Real, aka the Prince of Botch. We are in the house. You already know what time it is. Welcome to another dope edition of the Life's a Botch podcast, featuring your friendly neighborhood Prince of Botch, baby. How y'all feeling today? Y'all still alive? Y'all still good? Quarantine ain't got you going crazy yet, right? Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm here for. Here to keep you guys uplifted, feeling good, loving life. And today I got a really, really dope guest in the house. And you know what? Y'all already know, man. When it comes to these guests, man, I just gotta go straight into this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no need to like kind of hold off on nothing. Just get y'all right into it. So, without further ado, I want to bring on this very special guest. And to my YouTubers that's watching this live, that's watching this on the playback, you can see it. You already know what's coming. So without further ado, this woman right here is very, very, very intimidating in the ring. Very, 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 very intimidating. In fact, as a man, I fear for my life a little bit because I know she is known as the Maneater. She is Ring of Honor's own Maria Manic. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Awesome.
great.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. It is so great to have you on today.
I'm so glad you're still nice to me. As I was late. I was very late for the show, we'll say. But
Hey,
I'm
no
here.
worries. Yes, you are. You are
I'm always late, but I always show up. You know what I mean? So it's like at the end of the day, I do care.
I would
I'm
say, look, you are fashionably late and ready to
Yes.
party. You know what I mean? Because
It's
that's
all
what.
for fashion. It's all part of my style. So
Come on now, And here at the Life's a Botch podcast, I just want to let you know. Sometimes, even in the interview sesh, your boy might botch a question. Maybe you botch an answer. Anything can happen on Life's a Botch
I was gonna
sometimes.
say I like that name because I feel like that's what if I could like title my life something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what else I would call it besides life is a botch. It's
And
scary when you realize for a sport that people call fake, when you
Mhm.
realize how real wrestling really is. Like
Yes.
if it's some sort of a metaphor, it's the most real thing you'll ever encounter in your life. It's
I
crazy.
try I try to tell people, and this is why I love having this show because I have a lot of listeners who, they're casual fans, maybe they're full fans, hardcore fans, and some who probably don't even know a single thing about pro wrestling, but yet this show alone seems to get them interested and want to learn more about it. And I try to tell them, I'm like, hey, step into the ring, man, and that's how you see how real it is. Trust me, you're gonna botch a time or two in that thing. So, you know, it is great to
Many,
have
many times.
professionals. So,
Many times.
first off, let's just how's quarantine life going for you right now? Like, how are you enjoying it? Like, how are you staying productive for yourself right now?
Honestly, this is like I don't think my life has changed at all because I'm kind of a homebody. Realistically, I like to go out and do things, but I like coming back to my home. I like doing my thing, my routine. So nothing is really like for me. Like going to Walmart is like my activity. So like as long as that's not when they shut Walmart down, then
Mhm.
I'm done. I have
Yeah.
no reason to continue. But my life is not much different. I'm still doing my thing at home. Like I like decorating my house. I'm literally a grandma. Like I tell
Wow.
people, like I am not what I appear. I am very chill. I like to be in my house. I like to walk my dog. So as long as those things stay, nothing changes for me. I will say I'm a little bit depressed not having wrestling, not having, and it's not even the wrestling you miss, but just going to the event and seeing my friends. And all my friends are in the wrestling business, so it's like without wrestling, I don't have that connection. So I'm trying to make sure I stay close to all my friends and talk to them on the phone and still keep that connection. But it's hard not having something to force me to leave the house and go do. And I miss the excitement of it, like just the excitement of shows, like the up and down, the nervousness and the panic and the botches and there's all of that. I definitely miss it.
Oh
But it
yeah.
makes you realize you don't realize how much you appreciate little things until they're not there. So I
Yeah,
think it's good for everybody.
that seems to be the major life lesson of 2020 so far, don't you think? I mean, it's like we lose a legendary NBA player. We're all sitting at home now, and we're just kind of like really embracing loved ones more than ever. It's like, man, 2020 really found a way to just botch slap everybody in the face and just let us know, hey, appreciate life, man. It can
You
be
know what
gone like that.
I also didn't realize I didn't have I always appreciated the fans, but I did not understand how important the fans are. The fans are literally more important than the wrestlers because without and that goes for any entertainment industry or any sport. Without the fans, who are you? There's no sport. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
is, but sure, you're doing it to make yourself happy, but you're also doing it to make the fans happy and to get a reaction out of somebody. Without the fans, we don't have wrestling. You know, so it's like you realize how uh, crucial they are, and you know, uh, I think taking the time. I think wrestlers like we kind of brush off messages and things we get because we get a lot of them, but it's like take the time to thank every single person that supports you and let them know how much you do appreciate them. You know, without them, you're nothing.
I totally agree with that. I mean, as a fan of pro wrestling for many, many years now at this point, like it really is one of those things. It's a mutual appreciation because even us, the fans, appreciate the talent. We appreciate you guys for the fact that, I mean, watching wrestling right now, like to watch it and see like AEW and WWE. Still, you commend them because they're still trying to put the show on for you. But like when you watch it and you're like, man, no fans. This is like so hard to get into. Like you're into it, but you're not fully into it because you're like, man, and you wonder like you guys. Like I know there's as someone who performs as well, like there's a certain zone you put yourself in, and I
Yeah.
know it's tough to feel that adrenaline when there's like no
No one
fans
there.
in attendance.
It
So
was sad. I saw a match. It was a WWE match, and it was a very, very good match when it comes to like wrestling. You know what I mean? Like actual wrestling. But it was so good. But I was just like, I'm so uninterested because there's no. And I'm this like I react to what I'm given. So like if the crowd is not really hot for me, like I'm not gonna do much. And that's horrible to say. It like you don't want to see me do that, then I'm not gonna do that. But if I feel that energy, then you're gonna bring out a whole different person in me. But
damn.
I need that energy. I don't need it, but it's motivation. It's like it's. I think it's very interesting to see wrestling this way because we've never seen that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And I agree with you there because one thing I always remember hearing wrestlers talk about was when you go out there as a character that you're putting on that you've created, when you head out, the one thing you want is some form of reaction,
yes.
whether it's cheers, whether it's boos, a mixture of both. But the
Hmm.
one thing you don't want is no
Silence.
reaction.
Never. And that to me goes for anything. Like, I do YouTube stuff too, and just any social media. Like, even if I'm getting all negative reactions, I don't care. I want a reaction
Yeah,
because and people think that anytime they see me on any social media that's me. It's like just because I'm not in the ring doesn't mean I'm in character. You don't know when I'm in character and when I'm not in character. I could be in character literally all the time, except when I'm with my family and close friends. Like you never know when the acting stops. I think
yeah,
people forget that. Anytime you're on any social media platform, you could be playing a role. You know what I
yes.
mean? You never know. And to me, it's not really roles. It's all same with wrestling. It's never a character. It's always just a part of you. So to me, my wrestling character is the part of me that is real. It's me, but I can't act like that on the street or I'll spend my life in jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with wrestling, you get that avenue where you can go be that person that you can't be normally, even though it is you, but it's a way to do it without ruining your life,
I
essentially.
totally, I totally agree. And again, man, we thank you from fan to wrestling talent. We thank you, and I know just as much as you guys thank us because I know I can speak as a voice for any of my listeners and just anyone in the wrestling community, man. Like we miss those autograph signings. We miss those meet and greets. We miss being able to just be at the arena and like meet other fans who love what we love and meeting you guys and you guys like signing things for it's such a well missed thing right now. And
I didn't because I actually did not grow up a wrestling fan. So I
really,
didn't understand how much wrestling fans appreciate the show, not just for the show, but because it's a social thing. Like you said, you're meeting people that are interested in the same thing as you. So I wish that I had known about wrestling earlier in my life so I could have had that outlet. As when I was a teenager, like I didn't really have a thing that was like something I enjoyed yet. I found wrestling when I was about 15, but before that, like I didn't know what I liked. You know what I mean? I wish I had had something that I could go do. But I don't even know if there were shows around me, but like that would have been something so fun for me just to meet people that are interested in the same thing, you know?
Oh
It's
yeah. And that's a great transition because that's actually, the starting question I like to usually ask. So while we're on that subject, let's talk some more about your background and what got you. So like, as you mentioned, you weren't really into wrestling. You didn't grow up watching it. So
no.
what got you into the world of wrestling?
Realistically, I could say like I saw some awesome guys match, but that's not true. I saw the divas, and it's funny coming from me because I'm so opposite from that now. But like that to
Hmm.
me was what brought me in because I had never in my life seen girls fighting. Like that to me was crazy. Like in my mind, only guys could fight. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You kind of get raised thinking that men are superior and men are the only ones that could do that. And I'm seeing these girls going out and they're still looking hot, they're still looking sexy, they're still being feminine, but they're also kicking ass. And like that's just I had never seen that. I had never seen MMA. So to me, wrestling was the only form of fighting that I knew of. You know what I mean?
Ah,
That's all I knew. And I always knew I wanted to be on my own and be independent and do my own thing. So being able to defend myself was important to me. And you can say wrestling is fake, but it's not. It's real. It's real things we're doing. Maybe you're not applying full pressure, but you're learning real uh, defense mechanisms and you're learning real confidence.
yeah.
And that's all life is confidence.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have the
Totally.
confidence to take on a fight, then you probably then you're probably going to be able to win. It's not about skill. It's about the confidence. And and also to me it was something I was so afraid of. Like I saw the wrestling and I saw them doing their entrances and like that was so scary to me. But I was so scared of it that it was like I want to try this. Because I was honestly growing up I was very shy, very to myself, you know what I mean? Never really stepped outside of my box and it was like this is something that I'm so afraid of. So let's just throw myself into it. It's something that's so foreign too.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's something I know nothing about, which is crazy that I'm probably the only wrestler that jumped into wrestling not knowing anything about it. But I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out and go for it. I had never just gone for something.
Yeah.
I never put blind faith into something and just went for it. It's like let's just and I was really, really, really bad. I was never like a natural uh someone that naturally picked it up. Like I was horrible. I still don't like to consider myself good. I still think I have tons of work to do, but I was very bad to start with. And the fact that I kept going is what's impressive to me. The
Yeah.
fact that I was told by so many people, you're horrible, you're horrible, you're horrible. You're not going to get better. And I was like, I'm going to keep trying. And that's me with it now is like, I'm just always going to keep trying. Always. Even if
Always.
I never feel like I, got where I wanted. And it's not like a place, but if I never feel like I'm as good as I want to be, it's like, at least I tried, you know?
Yeah.
That's all.
Absolutely.
That's really all. And that to me is the message I promote. Is just like if you put your mind to something, just keep going. Just keep
Really.
going.
I love that. I love that. So tell me, you mentioned fear of like literally the entrances and like how you started out and you weren't that good. So let's talk a little bit on that real quick. Like, so we, obviously you did any part of you, and this two-part question. Like, first off, did any part of you from watching it think that wrestling was that F word? Because on the Lights of Botch podcast, my listeners know I adjust that as the F word. I try not to say that word because I know that it offends,
Yeah.
it offends us, it offends the talent. I mean, because you
Yeah.
know, we
I
know where things are predetermined, but more
Of
so
course.
the actual physicality we know is far from that word. So
Um.
when, you know,
I definitely knew there was an aspect to it, but I had no idea how it worked. You know what I mean? I knew there had to be something that went on, but I went into wrestling school not having any clue. You know what I'm saying? I knew there was a system, but I had no idea how it worked. Most people would go into it kind of knowing how things operate. I had no idea. But I also had the common sense to know, hey, these people are wrestling all year round. They can't really be, you know, I mean, obviously injuries happen, but they can't be going in there thinking they're going to get injured or expecting it to get injured every match. You know what I mean? Um, but it took me a long time to pick up the art of it, a very long time. But I was always very humble. I always, told people like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I never had the attitude of like, I'm the best ever. Like I knew that I didn't know what I was doing. And I think that's the most important part is being honest about that in the beginning. Like, you know, accepting that you're in a world that you know nothing about and just having your ears open. And I will say, if I could go back in time, I would have shut my mouth a little bit more and open my ears more. It's just, and my ears were always open, but I always just like, I'm just a very free spirited person, and I say a lot of things, and I've always been like that. And I think I'm known more for my mouth sometimes than my wrestling, which I mean, it's an entertainment industry, so it's not a bad thing. But
Yeah.
I've realized that you gotta find your strong suits. So like, I don't pride myself on being a technical wrestler. You know what I mean? A good technical wrestler, but I'm big and strong. I'm tough. I have a big mouth. I'm not afraid of anyone.
Yeah.
And that's my specialty. It's like, I'm not saying I can win every fight, but I'll take any fight. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's nothing that I'll back down from. So,
You
but yeah, I definitely did not know how it worked at all, but I knew that there had to be a system, so to say.
okay? So how did you eventually over time conquer that fear of like when you stood out and just was like, because we know that there's character in knowing that there's a camera watching, there's fans watching. So how did you get over that fear of like, you know what? Yeah, I'm confidently coming out here now and like I'm in character mode. Like I'm Maria Manic right now.
I think you have to separate the two.
Hmm.
So, me as Maria, as myself, I was shy and didn't want to do that. But then it's like, okay, well, Maria Manic can do this. And you have to think of yourself as this superhero that's not you. Because in your mind, everyone, most of us are insecure. And we're thinking that the person inside of us can't do that. But I'm like, oh, well, this character I can jump into can do whatever she wants. And at the end of the day, she can, because she's not a real person. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Me as the person gets in trouble for doing that thing, but me as this character that's an entertainment character can do whatever she wants. And um but I was very, very nervous in the beginning. I think it's repetition with anything. Like, you have to just do it over and over again, and to the point where you know stop fearing it. I have talked to people that are just very shy people, and they, especially with this coronavirus, like, they've been used to sitting in their houses, so they say they're just going outside feels weird. But if
Yeah.
you force yourself to do it every single day, it's not weird. Or like, to me, like, I have trouble making phone calls. I don't know what it is. I just don't like to make phone calls, because I feel like then I'm trapped on the phone all day. But it's like, if you force yourself to do it, and I told my mom, I said, my poor mother, I used to just not call her very much, and I said, just call me every day and force me to do it, and then I'll get in the habit of talking every day, and then it's, you create that healthy relationship. So with wrestling, like, forcing yourself to do the things that you hate. So in the beginning, if I hated cutting promos, I had to do it over and over again. No matter how embarrassed I was, I had to keep doing it, to the point where now it's like, I'm literally at a point in life, I cannot be embarrassed. And it's a bad thing, because I've embarrassed myself a lot, but also it's a good feeling where it's like you're indestructible. No, you know what I mean? Nothing can offend me. No, I've heard everything about me.
Mhm.
I've put myself in the most embarrassing, uncomfortable situations. And that's what wrestling is literally putting yourself in these situations that are like crazy, but you get to a point where you're so strong, like, nothing can break me at this point.
Yeah, absolutely,
And I
absolutely.
think wrestling is it's a setup for life where, if you can survive the wrestling world, you can
Mhm.
you can survive anything. You really can.
I totally agree with that. That's a great emphasis on life right there. I don't think enough
Yeah.
people really understand that, So
That's why everyone says wrestling is like this fake little sport. It's like, but it's a lot more real than you would think. It's a lot more real than you think.
yeah, people don't get that. I try to emphasize. I mean, over the years, I've always just and I do it chilly, but this podcast allows me to do it more animated, to where that's why I'm glad people who aren't necessarily wrestling fans can listen to this show and become a fan gradually because they start to see it in a different light. It's very great. So with you, let's talk about. Now I noticed, as you got into your character, I watched some of your indie, videos, and I noticed actually on your Instagram you had a video where you showed your transformation.
Yes.
So let's talk about that transformation. How did you go? What caused you to go from literally a woman who is like athletic, she's blonde, because you remind me a lot of Rhea Ripley. I'm not sure if you get those type of comparisons sometimes
I've
from
gotten that
fans,
sometimes.
but where I get the comparison, not necessarily more so with the transformation, just like she did. I noticed that you transformed yourself much like she did, where it seems like I guess the prototypical look is like when you have a blonde female wrestler who's athletic, she's built,
Hmm.
she's tall. And we saw even with the WrestleMania feud when they had Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, like Charlotte seems to now be kind of like that ideal image of like a prototypical blonde who's athletic, who's
Yeah.
very great. So what caused you to slowly turn into this new character of Maria Manic the Maneater? What
So
brought that on?
a lot of it is not even wrestling related. A lot of it was honestly, I started wrestling when I was 17 years old. So I was in this time that I'm becoming a wrestler, I'm also becoming an adult. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
basically grew up in this, not grew up as a kid, but grew up as a young adult in this business. So I'm changing in my own personal life. And of course, that's going to reflect into my, uh, wrestling life. And I think a lot of it was I was uh, very anxious and lonely, and I needed another outlet to kind of get my stress out. And for me, that was working out.
Mm,
And it got to a point where I knew that the way that I looked in the beginning was the stereotypical hot girl where guys think I'm attractive.
mhm.
But I was like, all I really have to offer is that I'm attractive. My body that I had was not doing anything to benefit me. You know what I mean? I wasn't strong enough to even lift people and do moves that I wanted to do because I couldn't physically do it. So it was like, let's stop thinking about what body is going to make me look the hottest, but let's think about the body that's going to help me with my career. So
Yes.
now it's like I'm so strong that I can do the things I want to do. You know what I mean? I can be this uh, wrestler, not just a entertainer. I like to think wrestling too as like, I know a lot of people say it's just a fake sport, but it's like take it like a real sport. Train yourself, like actually put effort into your body. I don't like seeing the wrestlers that don't even train and don't work out. And it's like we're supposed to be athletes. You know what I mean? I want to show with my body that I take this seriously. So even if, with me, if my wrestling is a little bit off
Mhm.
because I haven't been a wrestling fan for that long, I don't know, I haven't been around it that long. At least I can say, hey, I'm putting effort into this part because that's something that I can control. Whereas I can't really control the fact that I don't understand wrestling completely. Obviously, I can watch more tape and learn the history and go backwards, which is what I'm trying to do now. But the body is something that I can take immediate control over. You know what I mean? It's not in anyone else's hands but my own. And to me, it became something cool where like you can watch this transformation slowly. Like I would look in the mirror every single day and slowly see different muscles come out. And like I was just so fascinated by the bodybuilding stuff that so to say, I got a little bit too obsessed with it at certain points. And now I'm at a very good point where I've found a look that I like, and now it's just maintaining that look. Whereas for a couple years, it was like I was trying so hard to get like as big as I could get, and now it's like I'm where I want to be. I'm comfortable now. I maintain this, and now I'm just trying to like shred the body fat I have off now and keep the. I'm about probably 185 right now, and to me that's a good weight that I want to keep and just maintain that, so it's not as stressful as like trying to. I was trying to put on weight so fast, it took over my whole world, but
Yes.
um, I think I'm very proud of my body now because it's not like, hey, I'm a girl with blonde hair and fake tits and that's all I have to offer. Now it's like, hey, I earned this body. I didn't, just it's not just I'm not just a model. It's like this is something I put hard work into, and I think it shows. Um, and there weren't a lot of girls when I first started. There weren't a lot of girls that were big and jacked and strong. Really, the only ones I had seen were China and Beth Phoenix. That was
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, they're pretty much the trailblazers for a lot of
Yeah.
women that are like that, and it's great that you brought those up because
To me, those were the girls that were attractive. Like, you can't help
yeah,
what you like, but to me, that was like interesting. That was so cool
yeah,
to me. Was those girls like I had just never seen anything like that.
yeah.
You don't just growing up as a kid, you don't really see like female bodybuilders walking around. I didn't even know that existed. I did not know.
Wow,
And a lot
yeah,
of people think that that the muscles are manly, but it's like I don't think the muscles make anybody manly. If someone's manly, then if someone acts manly, then they act manly. But having the muscles doesn't make you manly. You
yeah.
can be. I'm very, very. People are shocked. I'm so feminine. Like I'm so girly. I love like pink and you know what I mean. I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm kind of tomboy in some ways, but I'm very girly, and I stay girly. Just because I'm big and strong doesn't mean that that takes away from any of my uh, femininity, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally, totally. I mean, and I get that from following you on Instagram, I totally can tell like you like it's I mean really all of these girl, you know, even the Chinas, the Beth Phoenixes, I mean you could see where like they can be women when they want to be women. So I don't
Yes.
get it. I never understood it, but I get it, you know. So what actually brought on the actual nickname, the character behind becoming Maria Manic the
Manic.
Maneater? So what brought that up? Like what was the process like?
So the Maneater was actually just a did not know it would turn into what it turned into. I will say that.
Right.
Um, it was actually, you know, Schlack. You heard of
Yes.
Schlack, wrestler?
Yes.
So I dated him for about a year, and the Maneater was his idea.
Hmm.
And when he first came up with it, I was like, "That's silly." Like, I remember him first saying the word, and I was like, "That's stupid. Like, that's never gonna catch on." And then after he said it, it kind of sat in my head for a little bit. You know, you just like keep hearing it
Uh-huh.
in your own head, and you keep hearing it. And then I hate to say it, but I listened to the song "Maneater" by Hall & Oates.
Uh-huh.
I really listened to it, and
Wow.
I'm thinking like this song is, I don't know what it was, but I related so strongly to that song. So I have to thank Schlack and I have to thank Hall and Oates
Oh
uh,
wow.
for that. But he gave me the idea, and he was like, "Oh, we had been talking previously because I had no tattoos at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I wanted one big tattoo. Like I knew if I wanted my first one to be just. I had one little thing on my ankle, but I knew I wanted something like very big that was very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, I had decided that I wanted on my stomach, and we had decided that we wanted a word. So we were thinking for a while about what the word was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had said the word man-eater, not saying it for the tattoo, but he was saying that I should start uh, putting man-eater on like T-shirts and stuff. You know what I mean? Like just use that as a slogan or something. And then I just started thinking about the man-eater on the stomach, and I was like, let's do it. And I literally told him like, let's do it. We're doing it. Like no more thinking. We're doing it. And I remember he said to me, uh, I guess it was when I was getting the tattoo. He was like, you know, you have to live up to this somehow. And I said, Slack, I don't know how I'm going to live up to it, but I promise you that I will. I said, I promise you, you will look back and say, man, you really earned that name. And it's one of those things, like a lot of people say you got to earn it first and then you get it. I said, fuck it. I'm going to get it and then I'm going to figure it out. And that's just kind of, and that symbolizes how I live my life. Like a lot of people, they keep waiting. Like I remember before I started wrestling school, I kept saying like, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight first and then I'll start wrestling. And I'll lose a bunch of weight, but it's like, you're never going to do it. Start wrestling and then you lose the weight. That's your motivation. You're already trapped in. Then you have to do it. So to me, getting this tattoo was like, I have to prove to the men that I can hang with them. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And that was my motivations right there. I have to literally see it in the mirror every single day and remind myself what my mission is. And it's, you know, a lot of people thought negatively towards it, but I till this day, that's the one tattoo I will never regret. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's very special to me.
Yeah, it's totally, man, it is definitely stand out. When I first came across you and like cuz I believe I first actually found out about you through Jordan Grace, who's
Yeah.
another, you know,
Andy. I
stud
started
that
with her
I'm
on the
also.
Indies.
Yes, and both of you ladies, I mean, killing it, like studs,
Hmm.
and I mean, like, and
She's doing very, very well.
yeah, and from looking at you too, I mean, that's why I was just like, when I saw, you know, when she had a picture with you, I checked your stuff out and was just like, oh wow, here's another stud athlete here that's just dominating in the business right now. Okay, and man, it just I followed ever since what you had been doing, and just like it was crazy to just see like Maneater, like that's not just a gimmick. Like she's got it tatted. Like yo, she's business about this. Like I was like, okay, all right. So this,
I knew a lot was gonna come from it, and I knew I was gonna have to step up my game. But to me, that was like that was forcing me to do that.
yeah,
And I do gotta give a lot of credit to Schlack for helping me create myself. He
wow,
played a big part because I kind of when I came into his life, I had all the tools to be something. I had worked so hard. I put the body together, but I just didn't know. I didn't understand wrestling enough to understand characters. And he
yeah.
gave me kind of the confidence to believe in myself and know that I can be whatever I want to be. Because I didn't have that confidence until I met him.
Wow, that is awesome, Slack. Thank you so much for instilling confidence and allowing characters to just keep growing, man. Because that's what it's all about. I love to see pro wrestlers grow, like from
Mm-hmm.
who they were at the start, and then as they continue to grow. So let's keep talking about your journey, actually, because let's talk about some journeys in between before you actually got currently with where you are with Ring of Honor.
Mhm.
So there was a time where you and Penelope Cruz before the Maneater
Penelope
was really the
Ford.
Maneater. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Everybody
Penelope,
calls her
please
that.
forgive me. It happens. Like I had it right here. I am so see. That's why I said it's like a botch. That
Yes.
happens. That was my first live on air botch, people, and I'm gonna make fun of it. So
I have
Penelope
heard
Ford.
a lot of people call her that.
Yeah, that name is just so famous that every time you hear Penelope,
You
you're
want to say
automatically
it,
gonna put Cruz, but Penelope Ford, forgive your boy. That's why I'm the Prince of Botch, because I'm gonna do that sometimes. But yes, Miss Penelope Ford and you, I noticed we're tag team champions. You guys were doing, a lot of business on the indie scene together. So what's your relationship like with Penelope? Like how did you guys come together like that?
I met Penelope when I first moved to New Jersey, and she was at CZW with me. We were both training there, and we were like the only girls. Like maybe there was one other girl at the school, but she, I don't think was doing matches and stuff. So we were just kind of thrown in there, like these two. And she was in the same boat as me, where she didn't really grow up on wrestling, so she didn't understand what was going on. So we both were kind of like we gripped to each other because we both were in the same boat. Um, and then as we went on the journey, like we both were so opposite that
Mm-hmm.
it worked very well because she was very small and flexible and could do flips and stuff, whereas I couldn't do any of that. But I was super strong and could do all the power moves. So like
Yeah.
it was very easy to we looked very good when you put us together because we could like as far as on a wrestling end, put
Mhm.
us together, we're a 10 because what I lacked, she had, and what she lacked, I had. So it worked very, very well.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. So, like, what are your thoughts? I mean, given where you currently have both worked so hard, you being with Ring of Honor, her being in AEW recently, like, what are you feeling like? Because of course, there's still so much room to grow for both of you ladies
Mm-hmm.
going forth. But from that point and now to where you both are in your separate promotions, like, what are your thoughts on as far as just how far you guys have come along? Like you said, it's two people who didn't really know much about wrestling or the business starting out. How are you feeling right now, knowing like, man, we're both working for some pretty big time promotions right now?
It's very cool to see. And I think, she's gotten so much better. It's crazy to see how good she's gotten. But I think the biggest thing with both of us, besides like, understanding wrestling better, just to see the confidence we both have now. Because the two of us did not have that confidence when we started at all. We
Yes,
both were just like so, shy and you could tell we didn't know what was going on. To see how confident we both are now in ourselves is crazy to see. And
yes,
I'm very, very happy to see that she's in a place that she's happy and she's
yeah.
doing really, really, really well. And if you watch a match of hers from
Mhm,
4 years ago and watch her now,
mhm.
it's crazy how good she's gotten. And she knows her strong suits.
Yes,
And I like to say the same with me. We both know what we're good at, and we try to highlight that.
that
Um,
is.
she just got engaged actually too.
Yes, I did hear. I was watching the episode of AEW recently, and I did see that and was like, "Wow!"
Yeah,
So like, if there's I guess with what's going on right now, everything's kind of virtual. So like,
yeah.
any chance of like being a virtual bridesmaid or something if
I
they do?
don't know. I don't know what's happening. I said congratulations. I haven't talked to her on the phone recently, but I'd like to know what's going on with that. I've never met him. Kip, I
Wow,
believe I've never met him.
wow,
Mm. He's from the
yeah.
UK, I think.
Yeah, it seems like a really. I mean, they definitely seems like a good guy. I would love to have him on the show and talk with him some. And he seems like a pretty genuine good guy. They look happy together from what I've seen with their posts and
To
everything.
me, it's weird because I only remember the parts that were in my life, so I just know her with Joey. You know what I mean?
Ah,
So to
yes.
see her with that guy, it's so weird to me. But like, obviously, I'm always dating other people. You can't just say that because someone was with one person that's who they totally be with. Like, but
Yeah.
it is strange for me to see that because I always saw her with Joey. She was with Joey since the time I
Yes.
came into her life.
Joe, and it's funny you mentioned Joey. He was actually online on Instagram Live last night. Actually, he was just chatting it up with fans, man, and like
He's funny.
he was like, yeah, man, I want somebody to just like run through their closet door right now. Like, not on no, like he's like, I really want them to just run through the closet door right now. And like there was like fans literally like literally doing it on his live just to show him like, hey, I'll do it. I'll run head first into my closet, you know. And
You
I'm
got to
like,
give Joey, even though Joey's not the typical wrestler,
mhm.
you got to give the man credit. Like, he's good at what he does, which is, and
Yes,
what I always tell people, it's entertainment. He is good
yes,
at what he does.
yes. And speaking of entertainment, I'm glad you brought that too because when you mentioned the, Joey Janela and being with Penelope at one time, like, how do you feel about when they take like real life storylines, like from like real personal lives and incorporate it into the ring? Because they did have a little brief angle, with Joey Janela and Kip, where they kind of went against each other and, like using
It gets
Penelope to,
messy. It
yeah,
gets messy.
it's messy.
Yeah, it's and a lot of times they do that because it, they do it because it gets messy if they do it up. So let's say someone is dating someone in real life. That person's not going to want to do an on screen angle where they're kissing some other person if they're in a relationship with someone else.
Yes.
So a lot of times it's easier just to say, hey, put me in the storyline with the person I'm actually dating, because but then it gets messy because then if those two people don't want to be together anymore, it's hard to break up because they're trapped in this storyline. So it's, and I always say, I'm like, oh, just make it easier, just don't date wrestlers. But then again, I've never dated a non-wrestler since I've been in wrestling. It's very hard to say don't date wrestlers. We all do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We all date each other because no one else. Imagine me trying to explain to some random person like, hey, I fight guys in my free time. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that. So I
Yeah.
always end up dating wrestlers, but you know.
I can understand that. I mean, as someone who's like a musician, I mean, sometimes when you're in a business where it's common, whatever you do is what everyone else does, you're gonna date, maybe a musician will date another musician because you can relate easier. And then there are instances where there are people who may not, you know, be completely into what you're into, but they still like it, and they like it because you like it, and they love it because you love it, and they support you. So I can see how that's a thing, and man, I just really can't imagine. I think about how WWE actually does that right now. Like I think about how all the couples, married couples, regular couples, they all travel together. They're on the same brand together, And as a fan, I always kind of thought like that's cool. But sometimes like when they do like brand splits, it's kind of predictable at that point because if like that a wrestler's dating a female superstar, then chances are she's gonna go to that same show because her boyfriend and or husband went to that show.
Yeah.
And so that kind of takes the fun out of like unpredictability of like, man, what show are they going to end up on? I would love to see this dream match, but then you're like, oh, okay. So
And
I can imagine.
I think it's unhealthy too because you don't ever want to feel like you were stuck with someone because of wrestling
Mm-hmm.
or because of a storyline. Uh, it's like marriage to me is a scary thing because you feel like you're trapped with that person. I don't like feeling like I'm trapped. I want to feel like I'm with someone because I'm choosing to see them. But if you feel like you're trapped in this thing, it's like that's just not a healthy way to function. But I think they like that in wrestling because they obviously want the drama, you know.
So let's talk with you about what got you into the Ring of Honor promotion. So what was your journey like into that? Who reached out to you about coming to Ring of Honor?
So I don't know if I should say his name. There's a guy. He works behind the scenes. He does kind of like he's a writer, so
Mm-hmm.
to say.
Okay.
And he had actually discovered me through my first YouTube video I posted.
Oh, all right.
And it was a kind of a non-wrestling related video. It was just like me. It was a comedy video,
Mm-hmm.
so to say. Um, and he contacted me from that, and I guess he looked into some of my stuff, and he told me that they would maybe be interested in using me as like a. I don't think he knew much about me as far as a wrestler. I think he just thought I was an entertaining person with a cool look.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted to use me as kind of like a China bodyguard sort of role.
Okay.
Which I was obviously interested. I'd rather wrestle, but I was interested in anything that would get me in the door. You know what I mean? So then I went I was living in Jersey at the time. I went to the Ring of Honor dojo in Baltimore
Okay.
for the day, and I met a couple people and just rolled around the ring for a little bit. And then I was offered a deal in, I think it was maybe last March, I believe, is when I started. And then I actually, I moved to Baltimore and I was training there for about 3 months before I ever even debuted. I'm sorry, it was probably 2 months. And I learned a lot there. Joey Mercury was training at the time. He was
Yes, Joey.
predominantly there, and he is good. He's very good.
Yes.
He taught me a lot. Um, he's his biggest thing was like stop doing so much. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Do a couple things and be really good at them. And if you have the character and you have the presentation, you don't have to tire yourself out and do a bunch of unnecessary stuff. So he always told me, focus on your character first, and then the wrestling will come along, which he was completely right. And he played a big part in developing the Maneater character too. He, Schlack gave me the tattoo and gave me the idea, and Joey kind of helped me figure out how to work with it and how to actually um, how to be a man-eater in every aspect, how to walk like a man-eater, how to act like a man-eater. You know what I mean? Because I didn't understand. I was just kind of blindly going into it. But I think it was definitely a lot. I was not, I had been on the indies, so I didn't understand like TV cameras and that you have to always work. Like that's a whole nother world.
Yes.
The wrestling is hard, but having to work cameras and having to turn certain ways, and it's so much to think about. Like I was not prepared for how hard that actually is, and you have a lot of respect for the wrestlers on TV because it's like it's a whole nother world. It's a whole other
Yes.
world.
Oh, yes.
It's a
And
lot harder than I think the fans would. I think the fans are just thinking, oh, maybe it's painful to get hit. It's like that's not the hard part though. The hard part is all the thinking that actually does go into it. A lot of people say it's just like a mindless sport, but that's not the case at all. It's very, very, very difficult.
yeah, yeah, and I actually did an episode. That was one of my earlier episodes. I spoke with a production person who did a lot of work for Impact Wrestling and some of the other things, and that was something I had to educate the listeners on was just what they do and the appreciation of that, and just being able to just like capture you guys in the moment and key signature moves, finishing moves, facial expressions, telling the story of the matches. You guys are telling the story in the
And then
ring.
also always doing it the same. You know what I mean? So you got to remember, like, if there's a certain way that I, stand, I got to always do it that way because I
Yes.
want people to remember that. If you always are different, they're not gonna catch on to, how you are. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You just have to really be on your toes all the time, always thinking about what's going on.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man, it's definitely highly appreciated to see. And so let's talk about even as you're in Ring of Honor, let's talk about some of the people you have been able to work with so far, the Mandy Leones, the Angelina Loves, and even doing a angle with Bubba Ray, aka Bully Ray, to those of you whichever way you know him, whether you know him as Bully Ray, Bubba Ray.
I call him both. I always switch in and out. I'm like, I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, because I mean, we know that in the indie scene, he's Bully Ray, but we know when he went back to WWE, he's always acknowledged as Bubba Ray there. So,
I guess they're weird with names. Like once, I guess you can't keep certain names if you've been with that company. I'm not
yeah,
sure how that works exactly.
yeah, there's a thing about them where they kind of make you switch the names up a little bit, especially now. Now I hear
Yeah.
more about, there was a point in time where wrestlers could kind of come with the name they own, but now they've been doing that a lot with developmental talent. They've been giving them a different name and then, going off of that. So, but yes, nonetheless, what did it feel like working? What was it like working with just names like Bully Ray and Angelina Love and people like that?
Uh, it's strange when you do look up to someone almost as a fan.
Mhm.
Um, and none of the wrestlers like to admit it, but we're all fans of each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? No one wants to admit that because they're a wrestler that they can't be a fan. It's like these are the people that are obviously inspired you to do it.
Mhm.
And Angelina Love was actually someone that I did. She was one of the girls that I looked up to when I first got into it. And I was like, I always thought she just looked so athletic. She always had her abs popping. I was like, I couldn't imagine like the hard work that went into that. Um, and I don't know. People forget like the beautiful people.
Mhm.
They were one of the most popular tag teams female tag teams in wrestling. You know what I
And
mean? I
I'm
think people
telling you,
forget how good they were.
yes, very underrated duo. And I'm telling you, man, they were
Bet to
they.
me, they were the best female characters I've ever seen
I
in
agree. I
wrestling.
really agree. I
They
really
were
agree.
very good at making people hate them.
Yes, they
That's
were,
hard to
man.
do. That's hard to do.
Yeah, they originated the mean girl angle in
Yes.
pro wrestling, and I mean
And
they.
to be a hot girl and be hated is hard to do because they're hot. All the guys are gonna want to hate them. Are gonna want to love them. But to be able to make everybody hate you like that, that's talent, and you can't
Yeah,
deny that. You really
yes,
can't. And I'll give it to her. Angelina is very, very, very talented.
yes,
Very,
yes.
very talented.
Was there any advice or anything you learned from working with her in some of the angles you worked with? Because I saw where you had an angle where you had a shot at the women's championship and everything. So like, what kind of things did you learn from your feud with Angelina?
Um, I think just knowing your, like I said with Penelope earlier, is like knowing your strong suit. So if
Mm,
I'm in the ring with Angelina, even if I can go to the top rope and do a cool move, I'm not gonna do that because I don't need to do that with someone like that. That's her. That's what she's gonna do. I'm
yeah,
gonna do my power moves. I'm gonna show my character.
yeah,
I think it's all about working off what's uh, showing the contrast. So I think a match with me and her is interesting because we're so different.
yeah,
I'm big and strong, but she's a veteran. She knows what she's doing. She's been in there a long time. So it's like you got strong versus smart, and that to me is interesting. And if you think of it like it's a work or a shoot, it's still interesting to look at it like that. You know what I mean?
yes,
Because you
yeah,
might think in your head, oh, well, Maria's might look like she's in control, but who's really in control mentally? That's interesting to think about. You know what I mean? 'Cause
mm,
at the end of the day, she knows a lot more than I do. I might
true,
be able to, uh, you know, beat her up physically, but she's a lot smarter. And sometimes the smart is actually what wins.
yes.
I've learned that. I've learned that like being big and strong is not everything. You really gotta train your brain. That's what I've been doing this quarantine. I'm trying to train my brain. It's a lot more important. It's funny. We were talking about Bully Bubba, whatever you want to call him.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'm not gonna talk about on a real level. I don't really. Unfortunately, he doesn't talk to me much.
Hmm.
But that is what it is. Uh, but he did say to me at one point, I think this is way before the feud. He said, I want you to figure out who you are as a person outside of wrestling. Please figure that out for me. And I don't like to listen to my my authority. So I remember thinking, like, I'm not going to do that. But it's just funny to look at me now because I've really, really figured it out. And it's just ironic that he said that and I ended up doing it. Because I like to do the opposite of what people tell me, but I actually did exactly what he said. And he's very good at what he does too.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
and he's an interesting one because he's very it's not really a character with him. Like he's kind of the way he is.
Yeah.
Um, he's an asshole, but he's he's not shady about it. He's just kind of an asshole, straight up asshole. And at the end of the day, you gotta respect that. Do I like him? No. And that's a shoot. Do I like him? No. But I hate to say it, but I do have to respect him.
Yeah, he's a
I do have
great.
to respect him.
You can tell. I mean, going back to even just veteranship. I mean, a guy like Bully. I mean, regardless of what you may feel about him personally or what you may feel about him, as the wrestler, like he definitely will speak his mind. He'll let you. He won't BS you. He'll definitely tell
Well,
you
it's
what's.
funny. It's
Yeah.
funny. Like a lot of people thought it was a work, but I made a YouTube video about it. It was a shoot. That's funny. It's like when real things happen in wrestling, nobody believes it. You know what I mean? It's like this,
Yes.
but that's just the way the business is. But after we had done a spot where I went through a table,
Hmm.
and you know, he has my phone number. I don't have his phone number. He's called me maybe once in his life, and he had it on restricted, so I didn't have his number. But after I took that fall, I didn't talk to him after. He didn't know if I was injured or not, and he never once called, never checked on me. And it's just kind of a thing you do, like whether you're close friends with someone in the company. Like most people in Ring of Honor I keep up with, whether it's just a one little text or, a month, just something to make sure we're all doing okay. We're all friends. We're all family. Mm-hmm. And for him to just not call me after that was kind of upsetting. And he knows I can't call him because I don't have his phone number. You know what I mean? But him to not check on me, being that he was involved in the spot with me. Yes. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know if I'm okay or not. And even if I'm perfectly fine, just call and check. It's just something you do. Even if what we're doing is a work sport, it's a fake sport, real things happen. You check on people, you care about people. And, that was a little upsetting to me because I thought he was, I thought he was like a parent to me in wrestling that always kind of was secretly looking out for me. I mean, not everyone's going to be open about looking out for you, but they all should be looking out for you in the back of their minds. But, maybe I'm being over dramatic about one little phone call, but I think still, like, even with the coronavirus stuff, like, I haven't heard anything. Yeah. But it's not that he owes me anything. He's a big star in his own head, so
Tell me this. Speaking of table spots, like, what is it as a wrestler? Like, what, especially if was that, I'm not sure if that was probably your first table spot, but just
no,
it wasn't. Okay. So what is it like? Explain to a listener who probably has always just wanted to know, what does it feel like when you legitimately go through a table?
It's never the actual movement that hurts, because when you have that much adrenaline, you don't feel anything.
Yes.
I mean, it hurts, but it hurts after. It hurts like an hour later when your adrenaline wears off, and you literally, I'll feel the adrenaline like every wrestling match. I feel so good after, and then like an hour later, I'm like, okay, now the pain is slowly coming in. But when you're that nervous or that like excited, you just don't really feel it. And everything depends on how you land. If you land properly on anything, or if you get hit with a chair, as long as it's a safe spot, you're usually fine. But obviously things do happen, and like I've taken some chair shots to the wrong spot that really fucked me up. I think it's people think that the chairs and the tables are dangerous. They're not dangerous. Anything is dangerous if it goes wrong.
Yes.
So to say I remember one time the one injury I've had in wrestling was I think it was broke my ankle. I literally broke my ankle walking across the ring. Wow. Just walking across the ring. I stepped improperly, and I guess one of the boards was off. Completely snapped. So it's you hear people say wrestling is dangerous. Anything is dangerous if it goes wrong. But if you know what you're doing enough, then you shouldn't have to worry about those things. But I mean, I'm lucky. I haven't had any major injuries. Wow. Little things here and there, but you get to a point where it just becomes like clockwork. You know how to protect yourself without really thinking about it. Like I could slip and fall now, and I'm going to take a safe landing because my body knows how to do that.
Yes.
In the beginning, it's like you have to always remind yourself, think about it. But then, you get into a flow of it where it just comes naturally.
Yes, absolutely. And you can tell, you can definitely tell. So like with you, what's really interesting, probably the best part about what you're doing right now and what you've accomplished so far is that you are very, very young. Very young. So like, given that and where you currently are right now, let's talk about some of your future aspirations, both with Ring of Honor and then even going forth with like other future promotions, Impact Wrestling or a WWE and AEW. Like, what are some of your future goals from this point? Once everything's over with quarantine and we're back to a normal, what are some personal goals for you that you want to do?
I used to always think, and I used to think I would never change my mind on it. I used to think I'll never think otherwise. But I used to think that WWE was the end-all be-all, that I had to make it to WWE. That was the best place. But that's just not the case. That's not to say that WWE is not great, because it is. But it's not about the company you're at. It's about the people you're around and the situations you're put into. So at this point, I could care less if Ring of Honor I don't care if they're considered the best or the worst. I don't care. That's the place that I'm happy. That's the place that has a roster full of people that I like. It's the place that's doing good things with me. Yes. So that's the place I want to be. If that were to change, if I were to become unhappy at a place, then of course I wouldn't want to be there. But if I'm happy somewhere, that's where I want to be. and I want to build that company. I want to help build that company instead of, I used to think, oh, it's always go to the best company. No, be at the company that gave you a chance, stay at the company that gave you a chance, and make that company. So instead of thinking, oh, let's go to WWE because they're the top company, let's make ROH the top company. You know what I mean? That's how I had to change my mindset, because I never thought I would get out of that mindset of WWE is the best. Be with the people that are trying to make you the best you. So, for example, let's say I could be at Ring of Honor and they're giving me great opportunities and building me to be the person that they know I want to be, whereas I could be at some other company that's forcing me to be something I don't want to be, and I'm not really getting any opportunities. I'd rather be at the company that's letting me do what I want and letting me be me.
Yes.
And the fact that, especially the fact that Ring of Honor let me in the all guys Royal Rumble, like that was like, I really, really, really appreciated that. Yeah. That was a really cool moment for me.
Yes. You definitely, again, and you can tell because you seem like an attraction enough, like you said, building Ring of Honor, because definitely, like I said, someone who found out about you through another talent and then to still see like, wow, like, yo, you can tell you're a future centerpiece for a company like Ring of Honor. So I can tell, because a lot of people, some of the casual fans, maybe, well, more so the hardcore fans, I would probably say, some of the hardcore wrestling fans, they debate all the time about which promotion is the greatest or which one's fallen off, and some people look at Ring of Honor as like, oh, well, yeah, back in the day, they produced the Samoa Joes, the CM Punks, and the Daniel Bryans, and, so many people of that nature. But, like, they feel like ever since, Cody Rhodes and the Elite, went off and did the AEW thing, they feel like Ring of Honor got left in the dust and kind of just, quote unquote, fell off. But I like to see the fact that, I mean, I've seen, and I disagree with it personally, because I'm like, I've always liked the underdog promotions, the Impact Wrestling, the Ring of Honors, because I support you guys in what you do, because I'm like, I want to see all of these companies flourish, like.
I don't think it's even falling off. I think it's more of a restart.
Yeah.
And everything that goes down comes back up. So
yes.
Nothing really stays in the ditch forever.
I agree. You know what? And the perfect metaphor to describe it, to my sports fans out there, it's just like the NFL, the NBA, some of those franchise teams, right? Everybody's not going to be at the top winning championships forever. We saw Golden State, before the NBA season kind of came to a screeching halt. We saw where literally this year, the Golden State Warriors went from dominating the NBA for the past 3-4 years to now, like, being at the very bottom of the bottom. And they are clearly in a rebuild right now. They still have some star pieces that they have, but they're rebuilding. NFL teams go through it all the time. So I look at the wrestling promotions like that. It's like they're all going through their rebuilds, and, they're going to all rise back to the top. But I love being a wrestling fan today because of the fact that there's so many great promotions. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because, like, as a fan, I can admit sometimes it's like it's so much wrestling that it's hard to keep up with everybody. So I try to keep up with and follow tabs on who I can, what matches I can. But
I
definitely,
think too, if someone is and that's why to me that it's not really the company you're at that matters. Mm-hmm. It's what you do with yourself. So if I have these independent fans that loved me, they're gonna follow my career wherever I go. You know what I mean? So you have to develop. You can't rely on the company you're at to give you the fans you have. You have to develop your own fans, and then they're gonna, if they like you that much, they're gonna follow you wherever you go. So I have a couple of fans that I know, even if they don't like Ring of Honor, they're gonna watch it because of me.
Yes.
Just to see me. So it's about establishing those relationships. Like I was saying earlier, like letting the fans know you appreciate them. I didn't understand that before. I didn't let people know that I did appreciate it, but I didn't let people know. Now I make it very clear to thank people for even just, following along on social media. Like, thank you. That's, you have to let everyone know that every little thing does matter and adds up. And I think with the companies too, like everybody wants to jump on the new hot company. You know what I mean? Yeah. We all have that. We all have that desire, but you have to think about too. At the end of the day, I think it's cooler to say, hey, I was with this company when they were at the bottom, and I helped build them up. I was part of the journey of building us back up. That's a cool thing to say.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know, while we're on the subject of rebuilding, this kind of ties into really like I guess the final part of my question for you before we transition into a really cool segment I think you'll enjoy. Um, as you know, WWE recently, as of a few days ago, because we know that they're a company that has a lot of talent, and recently they did budget cuts and they released a lot of
I
talent.
heard
It was
about that.
it was a very sad day in the wrestling world for a lot of people because there were people who had been with them for years and unfortunately fell to those budget cuts. So a lot of fans, you know, albeit we were sad, there were a lot of people, or at least from what I saw in comments and replies, automatically they were like, "Oh, AEW, AEW, they'll pick them up, AEW, and this and that." But as someone representing Ring of Honor and as we just talked about, literally rebuilding and wanting to be a cornerstone for this company, a company you like and you're proud of, what who are some notable names that you might have seen on that list or heard about on that list that you would love to either wrestle with in Ring of Honor or dare I say just see come and help build that cornerstone in Ring of Honor?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know who's on that list. I've heard. I don't do much on social media. I'm banned from Twitter, so I don't. I don't
What?
see much on Twitter. Yeah. Uh, I can get on and like search things, but I don't have an account of my own that I can, follow people and things like that. Um, so I don't really keep up with like the uh, drama, I guess. But that's not really drama. That's real stuff. But I don't. I've heard a couple. Give me a couple people. I genuinely don't really know
Okay,
who's on the
so
list.
it was a pretty big list. I mean, it wasn't all just wrestling talent. Of course, there were like there was like
Producers and stuff.
producers, things like that, and some
Who
were
was some of the
furloughed.
Who was some of the talent, like female
Uh,
talent?
so off of the top, let's see the female talent off the top. We had Sarah Logan from the Riot Squad.
Oh, that's
She was a
sad.
part of that list. Who was Deanna Perrazzo? She
She.
from
I hope
NXT.
she comes back. I hope she comes back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, she really is probably one of the prime women that built Women of Honor.
Wow. Wow.
She
See,
had.
that's
I think it was her and Mandy had one of the first, not one of the first female matches, but that was when they first, I think, started calling it Women of Honor and trying to make it its own division. So
yeah.
I would hope that she comes back. She's one of the best wrestlers. She's one of the best female wrestlers,
She is,
in
and
ring wrestlers.
I really do. I enjoy her work a lot. I follow her as well, and I mean, it was tough to find that one out. That one hurt me the most,
That's
definitely.
sad to see too, because I know how hard she worked to get there. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? She was an indie girl that was just busted her ass, was doing,
yeah,
show after show after show, and she finally got there. And then that, that is sad.
yeah,
But
yeah. And what from the to my understanding of the news when that happened is that some of them are able. I didn't hear much about the wrestlers as far as like the staff goes. Some of them were furloughed, so they'll be back when things are back to a norm. Some of them have the open door to come back if open. I guess with the wrestling talent, it's more like some of them they will try to contact to come back, and some of them it's kind of like because you had Maria and Mike Kanellis a part of that list. I know Maria did some really great things with Ring of Honor as well, her
yeah,
time there. So it probably would be nice to see her, come on back. There was so many people. Like I said, Leo Rush was that was another one that
he's
impacted that.
amazing.
Yeah, that shocked a lot of people when they found that one out. But he's so young, much like you, that people are like, "Hey, he's gonna be all right," because he's
That's
got
the
a
thing with Deanna too, is like she's built herself up so much on her own that they don't need a company to do their thing. Leo,
yeah.
that'd be awesome if Leo came back.
Yeah, I would love to see Leo. Man, I was
I remember
like,
Leo from CZW. Like I rarely mark out for matches, but I remember it was him. It was him versus Joey Janela.
yes.
I think it was like a ladder match. It was crazy. It was the craziest match I've ever seen live.
Oh man, I'm
And
gonna have
he
to.
had his entrance like with he had that crazy entrance. Like CZW was awesome back in the day.
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
I believe, and he's again he's I appreciate personally again as a media person as a fan. I appreciate people like yourself, people like Leo Rush who actually take the time to interact with the fans. And like, Leo was before all the crazy thing, and that's probably why his is one of the ones that affected me because literally like the night before that news went down, he was on live chatting with fans.
Was
And
he?
like, yeah, and he was just so energetic. I mean, he was chatting. I kept trying to get in there. I guess I couldn't get picked. I know he saw the comments though, because but it's what do you do when it's like 200 plus people? I get it. But like he was so nice and positive and
I almost
just,
wonder if they don't like that. You
you
know what I
know,
mean? I almost wonder if they don't like people doing their own marketing and social media and
well,
kind of interacting with the fans.
that's an interesting question there because I mean, I know you guys are contractors, independent contractors, in what you do. So in a way, there's nothing really. I
You
don't
can't
see
do.
anything wrong with it, but I could understand, I guess, in a corporate sense, because I guess out of all the promotions, WWE is more like public and corporate
Yeah.
like. So I could understand where people would, say and think such a thing, but I don't know. It seems pretty weird to really try to hope that because like I said, he was being very positive, and then the next thing you know, even when he found out the news, you could see the difference in him that day from the day before. Like he wasn't smiling like he was the day before, but he was in such great spirits and handled it so
Yeah.
maturely that I couldn't help but commend what he was going through. And really, every talent that got released actually handled it very well.
I'm sure
Um,
everyone was prepared for it to possibly happen. Everybody in the company. So it's not like it was just a shock to anyone. They knew there was the chance they could get released. So,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And Drake Maverick probably is the one people talked about the most because he had a very emotional video in tears just about. He was holding him back, you could tell, but
I always call him Spud.
Spud, yes,
I
Rockstar
forget.
Spud,
Yeah,
Rockstar.
that's the guy I know. I don't know who Drake Maverick is, but
Yeah,
I hate when WWE changes their names and like when you say Sarah Logan, I'm like, you mean Crazy Mary Dobson? Like that's
you
I
see,
don't know
and
who these people are.
again, and that's why it's like, and see, I feel bad because like a lot of times, man, being such a person who grew up in I'm not what they call a WWE mark. That's not me,
Yeah.
because like I said, I know about Ring of Honor, I know about Impact Wrestling, I know about AEW, and I follow all of them. I love them, I watch them, I support them. But of course, I guess you could say my WWE genes are so strong, I guess from watching it for so long, but yet it's so tough, trying to because I see where they kind of just it's almost like they don't care as much as they used to, or I don't know what it is, but like they water down a lot of characters, they water down a lot of the wrestling moves and things like that, and it's tough to see that. As a media person, I spoke with some media people, so I learned a lesson not to really try to bash. So I would never bash WWE. My listeners do know I'll criticize a little bit, but I won't necessarily bash them. But I will criticize, like if I don't like what they doing on
Well,
TV.
you know
I'll
what? We need the criticisms. I used to get offended by it, but it's like every critique I've ever gotten, I'm looking back and I'm so glad I got it because I needed that or I wouldn't have the motivation to get any better.
yeah.
I needed everyone to tell me how bad I was in the beginning to
Wow.
make me angry and to make me do something about it, you know?
Yeah.
If not, I
No,
would have stayed at the same place and never gotten any better. So,
that's true. That's true. And like I said, I'm all about positivity. I'm a positive kind of guy. If you can't tell, I mean, I will criticize in a nice way. I try to do it in a nice way.
of
Not in a
course.
way where I'm just like there, there, that. But yeah. I mean, as far as right now, I mean, that's pretty much most of what I had for you on today with that. And I'm gonna transition to a good segment. But I guess one final question would be, how soon do you want that Ring of Honor Women's Championship?
Well, I don't even know what's happening with it because we were supposed to have a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That got canceled. So
Uh,
I'm hoping they just reschedule the tournament is what I assume will happen. Uh I would like it.
you like it,
I would
yeah.
like it. I've seen it. It's gonna look it would look small on me because I, I was looking at it and I'm thinking, man, I must be a lot bigger than everybody else because I did for some reason this looks small. Look, I guess I'm just a giant and don't realize I'm a giant.
Well,
But
that's funny you should mention that because like one thing I get about AEW is like when I saw their women's championship for the first time, I was like, man, that's a tiny looking belt.
I don't know why they make the women's one smaller than the men's belt. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, because the WWE ones, when I look at their women's titles, they look, you can see a difference between it, but it looks bigger. Like, you know what I mean? But you can tell they made it big enough where it doesn't look like the men's one, but it's big enough where you can tell the difference
Well,
between the two. You know?
The girl in AEW, Rio, did you say Rio?
Rio, yes. And Nyla
She's
Rose,
so tiny.
yes.
And it was crazy, Nyla. So I started on the Indies with Nyla.
Uh-huh.
So I've known her since she was actually Nyla was my first match.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of my closest friends in wrestling. I don't talk to her that much anymore, but one of my closest, such a sweet girl, helped me so much. She looks so ginormous
But
in
that's
the ring with, but she's actually like my height. Like she's not maybe. I think I might be like an inch taller than her.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. She's a little bigger. But
mm-hmm.
like just it's crazy with wrestling, like comparisons. Like it's all about who you're in there with, how big you look, or how small you look.
Yeah.
That Rio is tiny. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just that's why I said she made that title, I guess, look bigger because of how tiny she was. But like once you saw Nyla with it, it was like, man, that's a small looking title. Like it's like it's tiny. So hopefully
that's how I think of me with the Women of Honor belts. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look really fat.
Well, listen. We know you're far from that, so that's the great news about
sorry,
that.
not fat, huge.
Yeah, I can understand that portion. So it's like, but sometimes it's good. I guess it's good to look bigger than the title. Sometimes, it's like, because again, given your character and how you are, it's gonna be hard to get that title away from you when that title's around your waist. Like,
I get it.
They're gonna have to like literally fight you to take that title from you. I can tell just off of how the character is. I'm like, yeah.
What's
good
funny,
luck
I used to always think I wanted to wrestle with the guys, and I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't ever want to be. I've heard about myself like, oh, she doesn't want to wrestle the girls. It's like that's not the case at all. Yeah. I just don't want to be told that there's certain people I can't wrestle. I want to be able to wrestle whoever. You know what I'm saying? Totally. I don't ever want to be told I can't wrestle this or I can't wrestle. I want to wrestle whatever I want. So I want to wrestle the girls and the guys.
So it's glad you brought that up because I guess that forms this as the final question. Really is. How do you feel about the state of intergender wrestling in pro wrestling? Because that seems to be a debate these days as far as you got a lot of the older school wrestlers from back in the day that are like, no, like Tessa Blanchard, for example, when she, being the TNA Impact champion, a woman, the men's championship, like making history on that side of things, like how do you feel about that? I mean, because we saw Chyna back in the day. She was the Intercontinental Women's Champion, and then we saw her in the women's division with the women's title, and it was like a mismatch, and she had to just kind of retire the title a little bit. So, like, how do you feel about intergender wrestling to this day in 2020?
I think it should be a choice because there are girls that don't want to do that, and that's fine. And there are guys that don't want to do that, and that's fine. But, for people that say it's unbelievable, it doesn't make sense to me. If how come Rey Mysterio could wrestle The Undertaker?
Ah, yes.
And that's believable to you, but I can't wrestle Rey Mysterio?
True.
You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
What's the unbelievable factor that the women are smaller? But that's not always the case. I'm bigger than a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. And then you could say, oh well, you shouldn't be able to wrestle big guys then. That's not believable. Well, fighting is not about size at the end of the day. It's about I always say crazy wins fights. Someone that can take a lot of shit. Where I'm not, I talk about myself like I'm tough. I'm not physically that tough. I'm tough because I can take a beating. You can't. It's very hard to. It's very hard to tap me out of life. You know what I mean? I could take a lot of shit. That's what makes me tough. I'm not tough because I can beat somebody up. That has nothing to do with it. I'm tough because I can handle a lot of shit. Yes. And I think I'm mentally tougher than a lot of the guys, and that's why I like to get in the ring with them because I like to show them that I can do anything they can do. But at the end of the day, it should be a choice. You choose who you wrestle,
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want to do something, you shouldn't have to do it. But I think intergender wrestling is taking over. Look at YouTube. Look at the views the intergender matches get. Yes. It speaks for itself. And no matter what reason people are watching it, they're still watching it.
They're watching it, so
You
it's
can't
getting
you can't
attention.
hate that.
Yeah, hey, remember, all press is
All
good
press is
press.
press.
So we got a real dope segment, actually, really, really dope segment on Lights of Botch. This you will appreciate as a wrestling talent because I know that really you guys appreciate these the most because you go out there and you live this. You guys are legit either babyface or heel. So dedicated to you guys, I created this segment on the show listeners love, and it's called Babyface or Heel. How this segment really goes is I bring some topics. Most times they're usually non wrestling related. And what I do is you just choose the option on if you're going to go babyface or if you're going to go heel on that particular subject. Now, this version is going to be a special quarantine edition of babyface or heel. So all of these are quarantine related. And I want you to just choose on if you're babyface or if you're heel about it. All right?
Okay.
Okay, so the first question is quarantine birthday celebrations. Given that we've seen a lot of birthdays going on right now, people who have been in this current quarantine situation celebrating a birthday, uh, would you go babyface on that or heel on the idea of just
I actually
celebrating your
spent my birthday in
really?
this situation. Yeah. I'm not a big birthday person anyway. Like I don't like to celebrate birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
So heel.
Heel.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
I'm gonna say heel for a lot of this because I'm literally a heel.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what's so funny? That's normally like the total heel. Everybody loves to be the heel on the show. So that's normally the direction everybody goes. It's rare that we get baby faces. So let's keep going on this one then. So what about the stay at home quarantine concerts? As you've seen, I believe iHeartRadio did something once where they had like a lot of known celebrities and they were like literally at home, just like you and me and like lounged out at home clothing, just like doing concerts at home. Like, what are your thoughts on the idea of that?
I hate to say it, but and I at least I'm honest about it. I'm very self-centered,
Mm-hmm.
and it's horrible. But I have self-awareness, and I can admit that I'm. And I typically don't care to watch other people do. It's so horrible. It's so horrible. Like that's why I do YouTube. Like I'd rather film myself doing something than like watch some. It's horrible because it doesn't allow me to open my brain up very much. But I don't. I've never been a concert person. I don't really. I like music, but I don't know. I guess I like the live. Not that I go to a lot of concerts, but if I'm going to, it's for the audience. Like if I'm gonna watch a wrestling show, it's because I like the atmosphere of the crowd. I don't care about the wrestling as much as I do the atmosphere.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that's definitely seems kind of heel-ish, you know.
Heel.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say sometimes every now and then, I'll have a question and people go tweener a little bit, kind of babyface, kind of heel, but we'll go heel with that one. So as someone who is a awesome workout warrior, this definitely goes for you. Um, what do you feel about stay at home gym life right now? Like that being the new norm at the moment, just working out at home.
Um, I think it's. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be because at the end of the day, if you're lazy, you're lazy. You know what I mean? If you can
Yes.
you can work out in any circumstance. Everybody has a phone. They can look up workouts on their phone. They can put a workout video on the TV on their phone. They can follow it. Anybody can work out without weights.
Yes.
You
So
don't or equipment. You don't need equipment. Like and body weight exercises are the best ones to do. So I think it's a good opportunity for everybody to learn how to work out without needing all this unnecessary shit. It's like shit that helps, but you don't need it. You can figure it out on your own.
yes.
And actually, for me, it kind of came at a good time because I'm not really trying to bulk up right now. I'm just trying to cut down.
Hmm.
So I don't really need the heavy weights at this moment. So it honestly didn't affect me too much. Um, but for someone that maybe is trying to put on uh, mass, that might be a bad thing to happen.
I
But
agree.
you can
Yeah.
literally you can like I was thinking, man, if I need a heavy weight, I'm gonna have to pick up my pit bull and start like squatting with her in my arms.
Wow, that's
And I have nothing
unique.
else heavy to lift. Yeah. But I think it's good to force people to go outside and get your cardio outside. Like I take the dog on a long walk every day, and that's my cardio.
Yeah.
Um, and I prefer that than sitting on a treadmill. But I am excited to get back to the gym. I will say that.
It
I'm
will be
excited.
fun. It will be
Yes,
fun. So that's definitely kind of baby face, believe it or not.
it
That's a
is.
baby face reaction. So we're gonna go baby face there.
Yeah, to
Um,
me the gym is it's not even a gym. Like I can do those workouts at home, but to me it's just having the activity every day of leaving the house. Because I'm a wrestler, I don't go to a 9 to 5 job every day. So to
yes.
me, the gym is my 9 to 5 job. I sometimes I'll sit at the gym for 6 hours because I have nothing else to do, and that to me is fun. You
Awesome.
know you're in the right industry when you enjoy just working out and dieting and eating right and watching wrestling. You know what I mean? That's
There you
you
go.
have to like I
Okay.
definitely like the working out more than the watching wrestling, but trying to switch over my interest. It's hard.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, that's a good transition, though. That's really good. So the final question, actually, within that one would be people, and like I said, this probably isn't necessarily you right now, but this has been a thing. Uh, People who have been dating via quarantine, like literally taking quarantine dates. Like,
I don't like that.
that's definitely a hill on that
I
one.
don't. I just don't like seeing the world dive so deep into technology because I'm not a technology person. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I have my couple things I know how to use. Like I don't like being reliant on it. Like
Yeah,
I even told my parents, I said, if you don't hear from me for a couple days, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's just because I don't want to use technology. Like I just like to shut it off sometimes because it literally is brainwashing us and controlling us, our phones and computers, and like I don't like to be so reliant on something that could be taken away from me at any time.
yes,
You know what I
yes.
mean? Like the outdoors are never going to be taken away from you, but your phone could easily break, or you could lose it, or technology could just shut down. Like I think like a caveman. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's easier to do stuff online. So if we get too attached to it, we're gonna like forget how to be humans,
Yes,
which is what has already happened. Honestly, it's already happened. But I'm
telling you.
trying to separate it.
Okay.
So that's crazy. People are dating like just so they're just on FaceTime dating and
Yeah, yeah, it was just kind of like just whether it's just for fun or whether it's like a legit thing. Like that's kind of what people are doing right now. Like,
I don't trust that though because like I just don't trust phones. Like I meet people in person. It's like because you don't know they could literally have a filter on there. I don't trust anything. I don't, if I talk to someone on the phone, I'm like I don't know if that's actually them. I
that's
don't know.
truth. That's truth.
You don't know.
You gotta see, you gotta believe, you gotta feel, touch, take all that
Yes,
stuff, man. So I totally understand. Hopefully things are back to a norm very, very sooner than later.
I
But
hope.
that is the thing. But Miss Maria Manic, it has been a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. Man, thank you so much because everybody that comes on the show, we look at as family. You're officially family. We
Thank
appreciate you.
you
We
so
look
much.
forward to basically what's going to happen from here on with your career going forth. Definitely future Ring of
We
Honor
need
Women's Champion. You
we
already
need to
know.
have a set in like 6 months from now. We need to do an interview because I like to when I do
Yes.
one interview with someone, I like to keep up with it because then I can go back and listen and like see how much. There's one interview. There's one podcast I've done like I do once a year every December
Uh-huh.
since I started, and it's just every time I talk to them, it's like I'm a different person every time I talk to them.
Yes, yes, we will
Interesting.
definitely have you back on. I love to see wrestlers progress, even my progress. I mean, shoot,
Yeah,
this. I'm still young in this podcasting thing. People don't understand that.
you're
Like,
always getting smarter and better at what you do.
getting better and smarter, man. And I've learned a lot. So we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna grow together. So definitely, we will have you back on the show. Definitely, go ahead
How
and
can I watch this?
yes. So this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you listen, this is all things Life's a Botch podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can also find this on otsguys.com. Otsguys.com. This is like our network that we are under. So the Life's a Botch podcast is branched by the OTS network. You just go to otsguys.com. It'll show you everything related. It'll take you straight to the YouTube and all that good stuff.
Just send me a
And
text me a link.
I sure will. I sure will. And
I'll share it.
while we're on the subject of sharing links and all that good stuff, even though we know Miss Maria is not that much of a technology person, we do know you are definitely having some socials out there. So go ahead and
Yeah.
tell people where they can find you. Let fans know where they can support you. I'm not sure if you have any merch on Pro Wrestling Tees yet or anything, but I know
I
that's
did, but now my stuff's just on the Ring of Honor site.
on the Ring of
Um,
Honor site.
you just
Okay.
go to. I have a couple T-shirts on there, sweatshirts. You just go to Ring of Honor, and then you go to the roster, and you find my name, and then you get a link right to it.
Okay.
And then Instagram is the Maria Manic, and then YouTube, just look up Maria Manic, and I have a YouTube page, and that's about it. I have a Facebook, but I'll be honest, I don't really. Last time I was using Facebook was in like 7th grade, so I don't really remember how to use that properly. But
Yeah, Facebook has kind of just slow. It's there. It's really just there. That's kind of
if
what
it was the same format as it was when I was first on it, I would know how to
Mhm.
use it. But I just don't like switching formats because I just am lazy.
But
There's no other excuse except I'm lazy. But
to be honest, between you and me, Facebook is Instagram right now. They're literally that connected because
really,
Facebook, yeah, Facebook actually bought Instagram out some years ago. So once they did that, that's actually it's because of Facebook. That's why we go live on Instagram. So anytime you're live on Instagram, that feature came through Facebook buying Instagram. So yeah, so
everything's connected. Wrestling companies, they're all connected. They're all the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, we're all connected in some kind of even with us podcasters, man. That's we're all
Everyone.
connected.
Without you, we'd be nothing.
Well,
Without the
without you
people
guys,
that promote us, we're nothing at all.
come on, and without you guys, we don't have a show or anything to talk about most times. So, thank you for allowing, people who may just be fans of you and don't even know about us. And they're like, yo, I like this guy. He's a crazy host. I wanna check out more of his shows. Well, thanks, guys. I do appreciate that. And as always, once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is your favorite neighborhood Prince of Botch, and you have officially been botched. Peace.